Let's get it. Come on. Impromptu tonight. Clap.
I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, baby.
Nothing can stop me. No. Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way. I follow.
City.
No need to say.
Age. Gender. In the chat room. Storming up a storm in Atlanta, boy. Welcome back to an impromptu Sunday night stream, because I want to discuss something that we're going to be touching base on more of as the weeks, months, and years go on. This whole notion of high value in Jesus Christ. Seems like many black people have a real issue with this concept. So let's discuss it. High value. All right, first of all, let's be clear, okay? I did not originate the term. High value has been with us for eons, for years. Mankind has always found a way. If you highlight me, I'm going to time you out. If you at me, I'm going to time you out. All right. Mankind has always found a way to separate ourselves, to order ourselves, rank ourselves, men in particular. And the biggest reason is because men want to rank them ourselves because you want access to mating and dating. That's what it comes down to, access to mating and dating. And how did women used to decide what man would have access to her and her body to produce potential children? Well, women used to say, well, God, why is going on with these notifications? These people are going nuts. All right, turn off notifications for these posts. All right. Sorry, people. I'm just getting too many notifications from here. All right, anyway. All right, so back before there was, shout out to Big Ike, the Master Blaster Bomber. If you're a woman back in the day, before birth control, having sex with a man outside of, possibly contracting some kind of disease because there's no antibiotics, you could get pregnant. And there was nothing more troubling to a woman than to end up being pregnant by a guy, by a man that could not provide. Okay? So women had to come up with a way of deciding which men were worthy to reproduce with. So did men. Men had to determine how their daughters were going to sort through all these men. So mankind were very simple. It came down to resources, protection and provision. Can you protect that woman? Meaning, can you protect her from the other men, people who want to do bad things to her? And can you provide for that woman and your offspring, your children? Now, technology has changed things. But back in the days when we had an agrarian economy, things were pretty simple. But technology has changed the game. And the advent of something called money has taken the place of what resources traditionally meant. Back in the day, you used to have to actually build something to do something. And I think most people understand this concept, but we just tend to kind of forget what money is supposed to do, what it's supposed to symbolize. Money is just supposed to symbolize your ability to provide. So, high value. There are some principles of high value that are universal. They are timeless and they have nothing to do with race. But I can tell you better than I can show. I can. I was on a show earlier today, and I am going to actually let this run so you guys can hear what I said on the platform earlier today. Um, and I gave it what I consider to be a pretty good breakdown. I'm going to actually write a high value handbook so you can actually have the pieces of this for yourself. So when people start quoting me,
Have to ask based on what metric?
so they start quoting me, they can quote me correctly.
How is high value quantified? I kind of agree with Gabe. Our legacy is the love and care that impacts our lives. Thank you, Black Wizard. And Kevin, is Kevin still? Yeah, still on the panel. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Kevin.
All right. What's going on, everybody? I got a few
Welcome.
minutes.
Hey, hey.
Hey, thanks. I think Gabe, was that you, Gabe, who mentioned Tesla?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why Tesla was not a high value man. Because his technology was better. He was
Yep.
arguably more intelligent and he was a greater genius than Edison.
Absolutely.
But Edison had the network and the visibility. That's why we use Edison's technology. High value has nothing to do with race. It's universal and it's timeless. It has everything to do with money. That's the starting point, and that's why it's the most controversial point because it's a hard line. I keep saying you can't be high value homeless. Teachers are useful, but they have never been considered to be high value. Hell, we don't even pay our teachers what they deserve in this
Right.
country.
Absolutely.
Money has to be visible from sources that everybody can agree. You can't flip it out your trunk, and it has to be made for a certain amount of time. Now, those two things, the amount of money and the length of money, are just the entries. The second and third parts are the men who are in the high value group have to recognize you as part of their group. It's a fraternity, and there's one of the biggest components of high value is network. You can have millions of dollars, but if you sit down at a table with 13 men and every one of those 13 men has a 2,000 contact network list, you can have more money and zero contacts. What does that mean? You can bring money to the table, but you're going to parasite or leech off of their networks. People guard their networks. And that's what Tesla did not have, a network. He had no advocates, i.e., no influence. The things you guys are talking about, legacy, influence, all these things flow from value. And the last two things are visibility. Visibility meaning if people can't recognize you or know what it is, that's not something to aspire to. You can't be high value and a hermit. And lastly, utility. High value loners don't make sense. You have to be useful to the group. That means you're being used. So that has nothing to do with race. You can lay that over any culture, any time frame, and the men of higher value will rise to the top. High value women do want to be with high value men, but not for the reasons a lot of men think. It's not because of the money. The money is just security. High value women want to be with high value men because of their lifestyle. Women like attention. Women want to be in the mix, and high value men move around. They're sought after by men, they're desired by women, and they're the people that other people want to know, and women want to be a part of that. So,
So yeah.
hold on, let me say this. So, a lot of
Sure.
people, we get those are just the basic principles. Everything after that is just is subjective and an add on. But a lot of us want to get these things mixed up because a lot of people reject the notion that there's a ranking system. I mean, in democracy, hold on. There's a back when we had monarchy, royalty, there was a ranking system. Either you were a part of the royals or you were part of the underclass. Only in the last couple of 100 years have we had the bourgeoisie, the middle class. And the middle class are closer to the royals, but they really came from the underclass. And we reject these notions, but they are still how human beings still think of things. They just don't say them out loud because it's impolite, improper, and impolitic, but that's still how we rank things. So I'll answer a few questions, but and here's the thing: I'm not trying to argue with people
Sure.
about who
Yeah.
came up with the concept or whatever, because high value ain't is something that's been with us forever.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Well,
Okay, can
Yeah, I did have a
I-
quick question.
One at
Can
a
I get
time,
30
guys.
seconds?
Hey, can I get
Wait,
Ron
wait,
first?
wait. I want to get the Roger
Hold on.
report in, and then we'll go after that. Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, I'm only gonna be 30 seconds, and I'm just giving y'all something to think about. I'm not saying nobody meant it in a negative way. The high value concept became big due to Kevin Samuels. Now I don't know Kevin. I've barely even been on the panel with Kevin, so I'm just saying this from my own perspective. If Kevin defined the term that's catching on and is being big, and if Kevin gave us this term, why can't we just accept this term that he gave us? Because I think there's some people, I'm not accusing anybody, but some people have an underlying issue when a black man says something, especially a man that's in an important position or a man. We just don't see black men as important in general. So
Oh,
when
not
they
at
talk
all.
about stuff, whether they're experts in the field or not, a lot of us, we just reject what they say, and it has nothing to do with that man. We just are so used to rejecting what black men say. So because the term became popular due to him, I think we should respect the fact that he did come up with the term and respect what he's saying.
I think the
So
fact that we're
I
Well,
just
talking
hold,
about
yeah,
the
let's
term.
hold on
and-
really
Well,
wait
quickly.
a
I
minute,
just want to address this. I don't think that that's been an issue, like that people are really rejecting, the fact that Kevin just got here, but prior to that, Obsidian early on did kind of lay out, I guess, the foundation of what.
Let me go ahead and say this too. There's a lot of black people who approve in the chat room as I continue to go on. Understand something. Being right does not mean you win. A lot of black people get hung up in the minutia of an argument. We do use Tesla's technology. Tesla lost. Tesla lost. Bottom line, Tesla lost. And like it or not, that's how it goes. And moderators, when you see somebody come in, block them. When you see somebody coming in, keep timing me out. Keep adding me, block them. Don't time them out, block them outright. Hide them from the channel. Oh, being a high value man does not make you a quality person. So what? See, what you're starting to notice is a lot of black men have a problem with this because you want to be ranked higher than you are, and that's fine. But the world has a definition for high value. You can be smart, but the smartest people don't run the country. You can be a better person, but that does not matter. And we want to change the definition to fit our situations. Your life shows you that that's not the truth. So let's go over the basic principles, okay? If you want to see the show, go to Concrete Rose's show. When I went into that a little bit further, number one, money. Money is a number one term for high value, okay? And I've talked about you cannot be high value and homeless. There were people on the platform that were saying, well, you know what? I think, teachers were very important in my life, but they don't make money. We don't even pay our teachers money. You have to make a certain amount of money. And the number has always been in the last 30 years in this country, 6 figures. 6 figures. If you at me, I'm going to time you out, dude. I'm telling you. Moderators, knock them out. So if you at me, I will tell you this. See, here's the thing. You have to make a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time. The number in this country has always been six figures. It's always been six figures. In the 80s, $100,000 would buy you about what $225,000 a year would buy you here. And making the amount of money, $10,000 a month. In Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. Like it or not, guys, that's where it is. Men don't consider you to be high value if you're making 60 grand. You can be Mother Teresa or you can be Gandhi. It doesn't matter. You can be well thought of. Doesn't matter if the money's not there. And the money needs to be at least for about 5 years. 5 years. Because anybody can have a good year or two. Money, the length of time you're making the money, and why. And here's the thing. This is not really up for debate in other cultures. In other races, the people really don't debate this concept. I don't see any white people debating what high value man is and what it is. I don't see it. I don't see Asian people, Hispanic people, Middle East people. They know what it is. They accept, yeah, we rank. But only in the black community do we do this because we feel like you ain't no better than me. Let me go ahead and play a little bit more of this.
Kevin was basing his definition off. I don't see that there's a lot of people just flat out rejecting it. I guess, this has been a term that's been around for a long time and people were speaking about their knowledge of what the term means, but I don't think that people are pushing back because it's a black man that created something and we don't want to accept it because it's coming from Kevin. I personally said that makes sense. Like,
Hey, I did want to.
Hold on.
Hey, I did want to get a question
Wait a
in
minute.
right
He
after.
said, wait a minute. The Roger report said he had a question, and that was a
Yeah, that was
statement.
more like
That was more of a statement.
Okay, I do have a
But-
question.
Well, no. Well, hold on. My thing on that, Kevin,
Okay.
or whatever. I barely know if I know him at all. I barely know Kevin. I've talked to him a couple of times. My thing, Kevin, and congratulations on your subs. I saw that. Congratulations. But in these spaces, your term that's yours, and you can create what you want. So that's your term. It's defined in the spaces that on YouTube as money. It's not the rest of that stuff. It's not when guys are making response videos. Guys are saying this is how I define it. This is this term high value. It's looked upon as money. So I don't know.
wrong.
I don't know if you care. No, so I don't know if you
Well,
care.
I do. That's why the handbook will be out tomorrow and the high value tenants will be out tomorrow. Because see, Roger report was right about some of the things. See, people are using this high value thing. We don't like black men being in authority. If I were a white man and came out and said this, people wouldn't be asking me, how many times you been married? Well, what kind of money you got? We don't like black men defining anything that's going to put lines between us. High value is something that I have known about for 30 years. And being around non-black people, it's not cultural. There's always been a ranking system among men, but black men reject it. Black men will say, I don't give a shit. Robert Smith is a billionaire, but he a man just like me. No, he's not.
Hey, Kevin, I did have a question about the kind of sticking with the conversation about the Nikola Tesla thing, because I did. So again, I think the fact that we're talking about it gives attribution that you were able to make the term big. So I think it's actually a respect factor that people are talking about the term.
Some people,
because
some
we
people
talk
are,
about
some
it. So,
people are. Some
yeah.
people are, but I'm seeing it in let's say in some of the swirling spaces because let's be honest, there's a certain segment of people, women in particular in this part, who have to think that the conversation has been black men ain't shit.
Yeah.
Black men ain't doing this, and black men ain't doing that. And now a black man's coming along talking about a concept of high value.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've always done this stuff, and I've always seen these things around. It's just it's offensive. It's offensive to. I find it interesting that black men would be offended by it, and black women would be offended by it. Well, just because you got money, you can do this or do that. I'm like, look, it's not a black term. And I've heard, and what I did hear was a lot of folks talking about, I don't care about what white people say or what white boys say. It ain't got nothing to do with being white.
Right.
Go back to any time in history and lay down the men who were higher value in that society, and there was a ranking. So
Now, I did have a question about the idea of what the high value man is that necessarily might not be associated with money, because even sticking with the Nikola Tesla example,
let's go
right?
through it. Give me somebody, because this is one of the exercises we often do. Why
Yeah.
is this man not high value? Go ahead.
Okay, because I do agree that Nikola Tesla did not have a high business acumen. He was pretty much raped by Westinghouse, right,
Right. Right.
for his invention and his
Yep.
technology. But I do look down the annals of history, and I'm like, why am I studying this man in my textbooks in circuit theory and
Because his
digital signal? Yeah,
technology
and
was better.
uh-huh,
But here's the problem.
right,
We also get upset because the smartest people don't run the world. This is where intelligent people have a problem. A students work for F students. They always have. They appeal to the intellectual arrogance of intelligent people, pay them 10 or 20% more than the market will bear, and become rich off of them.
but does that paradigm seem to change? Because like an individual
No.
like Elon Musk, right? He was inspired by Nikola Tesla, and he
He-
is considered one of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, the paradigm doesn't seem to. We are human. We are who we are. We have been the same. So, for every Elon Musk, I can show you. Look at the people. Look at the people in Congress.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, but they are the people who run this. Okay, the people,
Yeah.
535 people, the Electoral College and the CEO. That's a small group of people. Intellectually, they're no smarter than the average person,
True.
True.
but they have power. They have higher value because they've made themselves. See, one part, I'm gonna tell you, the parts that piss black men off about high value is the network piece, because we have such an antisocial leaning. We want to be lone wolves more than anything else. We don't like to work together. We don't work together well. So we don't have networks of, especially people that look like us. So if a black man wants to become high value, how do you do it effectively if there's always this eyeballing of each other to see, sizing each other up to see who can do what. And
Right.
number two, because you have to be being used. See, so you can have all the money in the world, but if no one can access your money, you have a great network. But if no one can access your network, you are valueless to the group.
Well, if I could,
So
let me just
hold
say.
on. So let me
Oh,
say
go
this,
ahead.
Plant, but I gotta go. I gotta go do the hour power now. The Tesla thing. The only thing I could say about that was Tesla was defrauded. Because I believed in Tesla. He was defrauded because Edison worked for the government, and they were showing pictures of his
I.e., he
invention.
had the group.
Now hang on. Now hold on. Now, so when it comes to that, we're talking about black men working in a society where literally they were making postcards of killing black men that were. You could have been the best tailor in town, but if a white man would have got mad, he could just come and kill you and say,
What about
"Well,
when okay, black men, but
hold
black
on,
men, we do it ourselves though,
hold
DMT.
on. Let's not see that. That's what I'm saying. You see, I got you. You got you when you were gonna say that because that's the thing about it was when you're put into a system where you're told that you're lesser value and your women are of no value, then you're trying to say, well, because I finally made it of an approval status in front of their eyes, then I am more than y'all
Do
guys
respect
think.
BMT. I'm not talking about high value just in this country. That's why I
No,
said
no, no, no. Okay,
take
okay,
it
no,
to anywhere
that's
else
fine. That's
across
fine.
the.
So we're two worldly men, so that's good.
But
So
what I'm
when we're
saying is it's universal and timeless, so race doesn't come into it as defined as you're making it.
no, no, no.
It-
But see see. I think that's where they lose you, Kev, because you have it where blacks are now, and when they're transcribing it, like reading scriptures, they're looking at how can I apply high value to me in my life, my woman, my household, my children. And if it's not working like how the world sees it, then it's not really working out because then a white woman telling a man that makes close to a half a billion shut up and dribble a ball and he literally can't say nothing back, then I'm like, well, damn, nigga, then what good is your net worth if a white woman that makes nearly no close to a fraction of what you
Well, let
make,
me answer the
how does she
question.
shut you down?
Let me answer the question.
Then-
Why it's difficult for blacks. Why Snoop Dogg had to back down to Susan Rice, because black men don't have black male media and don't have that network to control the narrative. See, being right does not win. We want black folks
Yeah.
love to
We want to
be
be
right.
right.
Tesla had better this, had better that. Tesla lost. Guess what? Steve Jobs, if you look at Pirates of Silicon Valley, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, key line in that scene. You know we were better than you, Steve. I mean, but Bill, you know our technology was better. You know where Apple is better. And Bill Gates' character turns around to Steve. He says, and Steve, you still think that matters? Being right doesn't matter. Here's the thing, whatever the situation you were born into, that's what it is. It's not your fault, it is your responsibility. Understand what the world thinks of high value and act accordingly if you want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
There's a network component about it. And if you want to be high value recognized universally, you're going to have to build a network. And sadly, right now, more black men tend to have a problem with this because once there's a certain point where we don't have black business. We just don't. We don't have a black business class. That's why it goes to athletes and entertainers, where it should be the business and the thought leaders.
Yeah. Income, network, and
Well,
utility.
what they
Okay,
want
so
I want to chime in on because Kevin.
go ahead, Platt, and then I want to jump in.
No. I mean,
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm gonna hop down.
I think it might have
Thank you
been
for coming.
It might have been months ago on Mixer or whatever conversations, and I noticed you brought up black men don't understand business. And
No,
I
that's
was
not
thinking,
exactly what I said.
Well, no. Well, hold up. Well,
No, that's not. No, bro. I'm not. If you're gonna quote me, I mean, I can't.
Well,
have
I don't
you
know
quote me.
exactly.
Oh,
I
wait,
can't
well,
say
then,
it was.
then I reject that. Then you can say what you perceive, but that's not what I said.
Okay. Well, let me finish. I remember you saying something around that level. You were saying black men don't understand business, and then as I've traveled around these YouTube channels and stuff.
Let me be clear. I push back against this point, and I want to understand. I have a real problem when people quote me or attempt to quote me or say I said something. If you're going to quote me exactly what I said and in context, because this happens far too often. People want to go back and repeat what they think I said and then hold me accountable. Funk that. Especially on issues like this. If you can't quote me specifically, don't say I said it.
I said, I would hear a conversation, and I was like, well, no, if it's business, it's got to be this. And they would know, I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to do this. I said, well, YouTube just struck that channel that you said you're going to do. Well, I'm going to do it this way, fuck you. And I said, well, bro, you're going to kill your shit. And then I started to come, and I said, well, Kevin was.
Kevin, you're Borgen. We can't hear you. So I'll let Kevin answer, and then we'll start with the question.
I wasn't saying you were trying. What I'm saying is we're on another person's platform, and things like that have a life of their own. So if you can't quote it, I don't know what your intent was, but I just can't allow that to be said. See, Platinum said, Kevin said, and that goes on.
I got you, bro.
But here's the
no ill intent, though.
I get it, but I think what that better describes more than anything else, Platinum, is that antisocial leanings we have. We don't like rules. We don't like the fact. Let me go ahead and touch on this too. What I was really referring to is, see, the money component. A lot of men can get into the money component, but if all it took to be high value was money, then anybody who had money should be high value, and we know that's not true. Money is the hard line number, but it's also the broadest number. $10,000 a month can get you there, but you can make $1 million a month, $10 million a month, and still be the same high value. The length of time just means that you're stable and people can rely on you. The part that really jacks with a lot of people is the network. Think about it. You come into a room with 12 other high value men. The world knows they're high value. Any race, any color, any creed, any religion, any sex knows they're high value. And each one of these men, one has 2,000 contacts, one has 200, one has 5,000, one has 600, one has 1,700, one has 1,100. And you come into the table and you have twice the money of anybody at the group, but you have no network, you have no contacts. What are you going to give to that group that they need? You're going to sit at that table and want to use their network. And people guard their networks. You cannot have a network if you can't work with anybody. That's why I made that video saying respect to the brilliance of O'Shea Duke Jackson, because he has put aside a lot of the things that he may not even believe alike to build a network. And see, black folks, we have this whole, I'd rather die on the hill than be right, and I'm going to be a holy warrior, versus building a network and getting it done, which is why you look in our community, And a lot of the complaints we have about black business, black this, black that, if you can't build vertically, vertically is an organizational, vertically is a network. That's one of the things that throws so many people off because they can have the money, the length of time. They may even have the visibility. But if they lack the network or the utility, the usefulness to other people, it doesn't matter. So when we get right into it, I say antisocial leanings. So many people in this conversation want it to be, like I said, I don't hear non-black people debating this. But we want to be, no. High value is just a matter of my mindset. Or it ain't a matter of your money so much as it's a matter of your heart. Or it doesn't make you a good person. That ain't what high value is. At any time in history, across any culture, the high value men separated themselves. It was universal and it was well known. That you don't look here. If you upload your content on YouTube, it's not your content. It's YouTube's content. You are going and we can do what we want. And if you want, and here's the thing: if you've got millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, your ego. Well, Prince Jay, let me go ahead and help you. If your ego is more important than your business, then that's great. You're not a businessman. You're a holy warrior or something else is leading you. But if you're doing business first, bye-bye. You understand the business principles and parameters and act accordingly if you want your business to survive.
No, you're right. No, I remember. Look,
That's what I want to talk about tonight. High value has a lot to do with business. And that's where it gets real sticky because there are no high value loners. Tesla, somebody in the chat room said it was a lone wolf. That's why he lost. Nobody likes you. No network. You by yourself. You're easy. High value has a lot to do with business. Business has to come first. How many times have you guys heard me talk about I don't beef? I don't beef. People have been saying before my channel took off, people have said all kind of stuff about me. You never heard me respond. And in the last few months when it really took off, my name is in everywhere. In titles and implied. My face is all in thumbnails. You think I'm gonna respond to any of that? Nope. Because it ain't got nothing to do with business. Kevin Samuel's a fraud. He's exposed. He's a scam. He's gay. He's this. Business. Business 101 says you never punch down. You only punch up. You got to understand if you're going to be out in front of something, people are going to have something to say. And it doesn't matter if people will misquote you to piss you off because we're so used to black men jumping out of the CEO table and getting into the mud pit. Dave Chappelle talked about the first black president and he made a skit talk about, playing like he was Bush. And a reporter said something to him. He was like, what? And the president jumped in the crowd because even Richard Pryor did that in the 70s because we cannot conceive of a place to where black men don't respond to protect their ego or set you straight. Man, y'all can call me all the frauds and fags and gay and exposed and everything else you want to. You'll never hear a thing from me because you don't know me. You can't say anything about me personally if you don't know me. But in the black community, we'll sit back and say, well, this person who does not know this person said they know this. And that's why when we're talking about this bullshit, other people are just lapping us because they're doing business. We'll sit around on a panel 8 hours debating the fact of what high value is. And people going to the bodega or the Arab store on the corner buying up the block while we're debating what it is. You can have brothers debating on the corner talking about this or that or this book or that book or such and so forth, and every shop on the street in Black Harlem is owned by. Come on, man. Come on. So I don't get into it. Enjoy. Use my name for whatever views it'll get you. Make it $3, $4, make it twin. And the people who don't like me, they'll come over to your channel and say, yeah, he is all that. And the one thing that will join you and that person is your dislike for somebody you don't know. That says a lot more about you and those people than it does about me. I don't even really look in the comment section anymore because it's just crazy. Oh, but by the way, my comments are heavily moderated. If you think you can come to my channel and talk crazy about me, you out of your damn mind. I block people left and right. You and this is one thing black homes are gonna get real understood real quick. If somebody had a brick and mortar business, do you think you can go in there and talk crap about the owner? No. If the owner didn't pop a cap in your ass, the cops will come carry you out. If you want to talk crap about me, go somewhere else. High value has nothing to do with what Kevin thinks. Well, you've been divorced twice. How can you talk about a relationship? Steve Harvey been married 4 times. Tom Likas was married 4 times. The thing that pisses you off, ladies, more than anything else, is I'm talking about the kind of men you hope that you could get with, and I'm telling you, they don't see you. See, this whole high value thing, it's not so much as what you as an individual think. It's not a popularity contest. It's universal. It's cross-racial, cross-cultural. Useful men are useful to everybody. And it is a gap that far too many of us need to close because from in the 20s and 30s, an argument can be made that black men need to catch up with black women as far as business. We got to get business done. And in order to get business done, someone has to be in charge. You don't have a Fortune 500 company that has co-CEOs. Again, and another thing, if you have questions about what high value this is, go to the principles. The high book will be out tomorrow. Money, it's money, the length of time you've made the money, the group of high value men or group acceptance, a network of high value. A network does not mean you're a CEO and you got employees. No, a network means you have colleagues, other useful people. It does not mean you have a business and a call lead list. No, a network of other useful people. Visibility. And visibility is the one thing that really attracts the opposite sex, women, because women love to be social.
I remember you saying that, and then you also talked about supporting the platform, and I was like,
why is that important? Because a lot of people want to keep asking me question after question. I don't have time to answer each and everybody's question. Do your own homework. Your question only needs to be, are you high value or not? And if you want to be high value, are you? If you're not, so be it. It does not mean you ain't worth crap if you're not high value. But we seem to have a real problem with it in the black community.
I said, I used to be back there on Mix. We have to support the content. What you said when you tried to get
the men actually want to hear conversations. We have these conversations with women one-on-one. Well, then you better pay a stipend up front. But it's just now the time is different.
C Rose and Sister George, I gotta go because I'm about to.
She said, "Good show."
Being here, it's been short, but I can't give you specific quotes, but Obsidian has a Mixler situation where for you, and you need to support it, whether it's real estate. People can't do this stuff for free, and it doesn't matter what you. Oh, I like y'all for having me up.
Thank you,
Take
Platt.
care, man. All right.
They can't pretty much.
And let me ask you this question because we never did get to ask you this question.
Okay.
Why are women leaving high value men? What do you think the excuse is?
Or do they? Why do they leave high value men?
Well, due respect, I didn't hear the show, but oftentimes women are calling men. Let me address something that somebody in the chat room says, Alpha Logic. Tom Likas pays to get laid. Bro, I need you to understand that makes no difference to a man with $40 million. He does not care what somebody who works for a living says. And now I don't know you, but I'm going to assume that you are nowhere close to Tom Likas's tax bracket or his income or his achievement. Generally, when I see guys with alpha in the title, I'm a little bit kind of like, But when I see somebody taking a shot at Tom Likas, who obviously outranks you as a man, he is high value. He has the money, the length of time. High value men see him as a peer. He has the network because everywhere Tom Likas went during his broadcasting career, the world fell at his feet. He got paid to show up. He has the visibility, and he was on radio. An unattractive, fat white man who looked horrible, and he's useful. And that bothers a lot of black men because, like, well, I got more game, I look better. It don't matter, bro. Tom Likas is up here as far as high value. And see, you could be a jawline white boy, or Chad, or Kevin in sales, but they'd say, yes, Tom Likas ranks higher than me. Black men, we got a real problem with this. Yeah, black men, yeah, pocket watching.
High value that aren't there. I.e., I had two women on my show last week who self-proclaimed I had a high value man, and it didn't work out. And as I stepped them through the principles,
Oh, it's
came to find out they
classism.
didn't
Hold
have
on.
two.
It's classism. Well, this is grown up. This is a grown up place. So if not all right with classism, I'm going to bid you adieu because, see, that sounds like an argument that neither a purpose driven nor a high value man or just a man would make. We understand that there's class in this world. See, I find it interesting. A lot of you guys claim to be so RP, but you can't deal with truth. You want to talk about female nature, male nature, but you don't want to deal with social class. Get out of here.
Two or more components of that. So oftentimes people call high value men just money. So without knowing specifically, I would say most women don't leave high value men. They don't, because it's not just about the money. See, Charles Manson, if you study Charles Manson and people like him, cult leaders, what they do is they get women in, and then how you control a woman's mind is not with your money, your dick, your game. You control a woman with access to a group that she finds appealing.
Did you get that? A lot of black men want to think, oh, it's just my game, my mouthpiece, my dick game. The way you really affect a woman is by access to a group that she finds appealing. Network. Now, I'm going to ask you guys in the chat room a question. What is the non-black equivalent of tricking? What do non-black men call what black men refer to as tricking when black men call something tricking? So, see, black men, anytime you spend money on a woman, some of you guys call it tricking. It's just another female. Y'all got this real thing with pocket watching, man, and money and women. That's why I say therapy, because other races of men don't run around talking about spending money on women is tricking. And we're getting our ass kicked by every other group. But y'all worrying about little tiny shit, spending $25 on some coffee. I ain't tricking. Don't nobody care if you tricking, making $40,000 a year. And see, that's what this high value thing is bringing into focus, where a lot of men really rank on the socioeconomic ladder, where a lot of men really rank in their career, in their neighborhood, in their society, where you really rank when you turn off YouTube and stop talking shit and you go out in the world, and where you really rank. You can be anything you want online, but in the real world, that is where you truly rank, and it's fucking with a lot of y'all.
Charles Manson would bring these women in, introduce them to those women, those sister wives or whatever, and that would be their entire family. That's why you can call it the family. So when he told them to do A, B, and C, if they chose not to, he didn't beat them. He didn't do this. He said, you're out of the family. So they're willing to do whatever. These women came from the streets or came from wealth. Females have been the same since creation. We've evolved into what we are right now. So if a woman is in a high value place, let's say she's married to Obsidian, or she's Obsidian's girlfriend, and she says, Obsidian, I having a problem with X, Y, B, and C. Obsidian can either decide to do something about it or say, well, step. She may hate Obsidian, but she still wants access to the Pyramid Club. She still wants access to the country club. She still wants access to the friend group, the dinner parties. Because when you're done with high value, you lose everything. If you've been divorced, you know what it means. You lose friends and everything else. So typically,
Fair
women
use.
don't leave because it's more than just a man. That's another thing about high value. We're the only. I don't see the debate on high value being had outside of the black community. White people just use the term and keep it moving because they understand they'll understand what it means. Every other group seems to understand what it means, but we want to debate it back and forth.
But that's because
And
so many
I
of us,
think it's
because so many of us
hmm?
know deep down we don't make the cut.
Yes, and that's what I found that was really problematic because and when instead of saying I don't make the cut, what we tend to do is go after the person who said the term. I've looked at some of the things people have had to say, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't make this shit up. And so what I'm going to do is put out the basic principles. That's just the basic stuff. That's not all encompassing. And then from that point on, at least hopefully people can start to have a more balanced conversation instead of trying to make high value fit their narrow definition and have five people speaking five different things because that'll never work. So that's why I came up. I happened to see the title and glad you guys had me up for a second. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you for coming up.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Shout out to SW1 for the
I'm
super
going to
chat.
open up
Thank
the
you so
call
much,
room.
SW1. And shout out to
I'm
B
going to
for the
open up the
super
call
chat.
room to
He
answer some
says, but
questions
if
later
Kevin
on.
twice divorced, apparently they do.
See, I want you to understand that everything, I want you to understand what just happened. I spoke coherently, logically, rather eloquently on another person's platform. And I want you to hear the question that was asked. I laid out point after point. Went back and forth with somebody over the Tesla example. But the question always becomes it becomes about the messenger. And whether it's an attack, I just say it's not asked in good faith. See, we're used to people. You can tell when a question's asked in good faith because I think I explained it pretty well. High value man has nothing to do with the amount of times you were divorced. Donald Trump is a high value man. He's running the highest office in the world. But we don't ask these questions of white men, only black men. Pay attention.
Leave high value super chat. Thank you so much, SW1. And shout out to B for the super chat. He says, but if Kevin twice divorced, apparently they do leave high value men. No?
See, again, you see what I mean? This is exactly what I mean. The presumption was I was a high value man then. And
Right.
see, again, it only comes up if the information isn't what you want. Steve Harvey's been married 4 times, but he can be a relationship guru, this and that. I would rather ask that person, if you want to talk to me one on one, what is your issue with the concept of high value men? Don't make it about me. Make it about what the conversation is. What is that? What is it called? First, you're coming into it in bad faith, number one, and number two, ad hominem. What about you? High value ain't about me. Deal with the argument. But see, the problem is the argument. The argument is more. Well, I think Obsidian nailed it. The argument.
Again, high value is not about me. It's not about Kevin Samuels. It's not about what Kevin Samuels is trying to tell black men to be and waving my finger at black women telling you what you'll never get. High value ain't got nothing to do specifically with me. This has been with us for forever. When we went from hunter gatherers, well, even before that, when we start living together in collective communal groups instead of packs, if you believe in evolution, we had to start developing social hierarchy. So again, to the people who are going to come and pick this apart, they're going to always talk about me. Him, he ain't this, he ain't that. How you gonna listen to it? He. But we don't do that to non-black men. We don't do that to white men. We don't do that to Asian men, Hispanic men, Middle Eastern. Thank you, Roger Report, for saying it. It's when a black man has the nerve to say something that he understands, has visibility to, and even belongs to. We want to question everything about him. And and why is that? Because that's that crab in the bucket. You can't get further ahead than me. You can't tell me something. And every other group is sitting back saying, we ain't gotta beat these people. We just gotta let their own destructive nature uh take shape. But I reject that. Nope, I reject that. The wheat and the chaff will separate. And that's gonna be a painful process. And it's happening. The people who are about moving forward and becoming the best version of themselves are slowly having to separate from the chaff. It's going to be public and it's going to be ugly because what we do is out on Front Street, but it's going to happen.
It's very tight. And some men don't fit it. And then conversely, some women who want men in this category can't get them. And we have a problem being told we can't have what it is we say we want. So it ain't, I will say this now, leave it. It ain't about me. Stop making this whole conversation about me, trying to make it go in, well, I got to ask you this and got to ask you that. You're supposed to be grown people. Take the principles, go understand anthropologically what high value means outside the black community. And then if you still want to debate with human nature, have at it. But you're not.
It ain't about me. If you want to understand what high value or hypergamy mean anthropologically, go investigate it. And you will find hypergamy has been with us since the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's been with us. It's been with us. Hypergamy has been with us. So is value. Higher value has been with us. What do you think the first or the longest enduring form of human government, royalty, monarchy, what is that if not high value? Oh, I'm teaching tonight. So it ain't about me. And yes, black people, it existed before we were slaves in this country. Go back to the motherland, the continent, and you will see that there was even high value there.
To make this about me and how if I'm right or wrong, I'm as fallible as anybody else. But that's not going to fix the issues that you or I or anybody else has.
And I don't think that there was an implication that women never leave. I think that it's, the notion is that they leave less often than they do men that aren't high value men.
Let me respond. I'm sorry. Let me respond to something because I just thought of it. Let's take the fact that they do leave high value men. Let's say Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos. I heard a.
Let me respond to something. Julia Vibes. High value is great, but no one wants to be referred to as low value. Maybe a different term needs to be created for men who are high value. Bullshit. No snowflake zone. These are first world fucking problems. First world problems. I don't have no. If you are offended by a term, you're a pussy. And you're by definition nowhere close to high value. If the word high value hurts your feelings, then go over there. I mean, seriously, how weak are we saying the men are? Well, let's say something that doesn't hurt their feelings as much. That's the problem we have right now. That's why so many of you women are complaining that men aren't men anymore. Men aren't protecting anything. Men were men back in because we got a bunch of pussies walking around. High value is what it is. What do you think it was when somebody was called King, Duke, Earl? And you were the fucking blacksmith? When they lived in castles and stone buildings and you lived in a fucking shack. Knock it off, man.
A lot of men in the manosphere losing their shit. Oh, she's gonna get half this and that bitch. Da 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 da. I never. Jeff Bezos I heard a lot of men in the manosphere losing their shit. Oh, she's gonna get half this and that bitch. Da, 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 da. I never heard Jeff Bezos say a mumbling word about losing billions of dollars to a woman. Because truly high value men have L's and W's, and part of high value is knowing you can do it all over again. Jeff Bezos has doubled his money in January,
Yep.
so whatever high value men don't worry about being left. That's the ultimate point. You leave, good. I'll go find another one that's younger or better or is gonna fit. Take your half, and I'll go make 10 times more. And that's a high value mindset, and that honestly is threatening to some women because oh, you have to be obsessed with me. No, no. A high value man is obsessed with his purpose. You are always going to come a distant second to what he has to do on this planet. You will never be number
Yeah, I
one to a
said
high
I brought
value
that
man.
up too.
So, and another thing is, high value men aren't made out of the womb, they are made by their losses. Show me a motherfucker that says he's a high value man and he's never lost something. I'll show you a fraud. So, yes, I've been divorced twice, but I will tell you right now, both wanted to come back. And again, it's still not about me, it's about the whole premise. We get this over and over again. Tom Likas would often talk, people will come and say the same thing. Well, how can you talk about this or that? You've been divorced 4 times and you're fat and you're ugly. And what they never could say is that hot young women still wanted to get with him. Tom Likas was a high value man because he had money for the length of time. Men of high value status approved him. He had a broad network. He was visible and he was highly useful to the group. He has legacy. He has influence. Men want to be him and women want to be with him. And Tom Likas will tell you about his losses just like his wins because the losses is what makes a fucking winner.
The losses are what makes a fucking winner. That is why last week when I showed you how horrible my first videos were, because there's no need to try to act like everything is perfect. High value men are high value because they've lost. They take risks. See, a lot of you guys are sitting around there asking about, you've been divorced, motherfucker. That means I tried. I tried and I failed. Try and fail better. And I talk about it. See, that's why a lot of you will never get anywhere because you only want to take steps that are guaranteed. You don't have the balls to take a risk. I'm not just talking about marriage. I'm talking about your life. You live in the same city you grew up in. You've been safe your entire life. You've made the smart, but that ain't high value. It's not bad. But the men you admire are the men who take risks. The men who will bet it all. The men who will decide to go out instead of working for somebody for their entire life, they'll go decide to found their own, take all their money and blow it and have to live in their car and wash up in the bathroom and eat Vienna sausages. Those are the stories that you like, man, yeah, we love that. You don't love it that a guy was born into wealth and then his father gave him $1 million and he went and started. That don't make nothing. High value is not given. It's earned. That's why money is not the determination. You got a lot of trust fund guys who are not high value men. High value men proudly wear their losses. You goddamn right. I'm everything my critics say. You're arrogant. You full of yourself. You this, you that. You guess you're right because I have also earned the right to say what I say. I talk about what the fuck I know. What I've never heard somebody say is he's wrong. He's wrong on what he knows. Oh, well, I don't believe this. I don't believe that. I don't care what you believe. The truth of my life is not up to your opinion. I'm going to expose this. Dude, what do you? I really got to say something, man. Some of you guys move like women. What do you think you're going to gain by trying to talk about someone you've never sent an email or had a conversation with? And black men, you look like bitches doing this kind of stuff. Straight up bitches. So you call me all the fags and sissies that you want to, but you have never reached out, made a phone call, a text message, say, hey man, let's chop it up. Man, I got some issues with some of the things I'm talking about. You go and try to pull a picture and try to say, well, look at the way he's standing, look at the way this and look at the way that. Are you out of your mind? Oh, that's right. You ain't got no life. You got to try to tear somebody like myself down because I'm saying something that makes you look bad. Because honestly, for your age, You're behind. You're in your 30s and you're underdeveloped. You stopped your education at high school or college. Your emotional maturity stopped at high school or college, and you're 35 or 40-year-old men walking around still talking like you're in high school. When I say if you had to go line up with other men of your age outside the black community, it would be embarrassing. Listening to some of us talk, I'm like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, when I'm talking about high value, oh man, that's that white stuff. That's that white stuff. The implication is black men ain't shit. That's the implication. So many black men, high value is white boys. So you can't be a high value black man. No, what it is it makes men feel some kind of way because just like when I ask height, weight, dress size, and a lot of men's dick get hurt. Oh, look at him. He's asking the height, weight, dress size, and he's smacking them around. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. But when I ask, do you make $10,000 a month? Oh well, how many times have I had that high value show and guys want to call in? Yeah, I'm 40 years old. I ain't worked in 2 years, but I'm high value. Nigga, what? See, money is a very firm line. That's why it's the first line. And you've heard it yourself, real time, that men have called into this show. And how many men have been able to meet the very simple, the very first bar? 2, 3, 3. When Ramil Amir and I did that Lion's Den, the Shark Tank business show, 6, 7 weeks, 2 people called in who actually had businesses. That just means there's work needs to be done. Now, what happened? Ramil and me and I said, we tried to help these guys. But Ramil is doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. Black men, like it or not, you got women in your chat room and this and that. A lot of stuff women say are not wrong. If you're a competitive man, you shouldn't care what the fuck they have to say. Like when I had Crystal and Harrison come over here that day, and I said, black men, if you got a problem with, you should not care what any woman has to say. If you're competitive men don't care because you're competing, you're winning. And even when you lose, you know you're within striking distance. But the real question is, are you truly competitive in your chosen career profession, in your chosen industry? Are you where you should be? And if not, don't get mad at high value concept. Get to work.
Yeah. Let me read the super chat really quick from Black Wizard, and then I'll give my final comments.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Black Wizard says it's true. The mind uses hierarchy, mapping symbols and emotions to meanings based on rank. The rank or value helps people survive their reality. My contention isn't high value per se. It's when people associate high value with self worth. Thank you, Black Wizard. We appreciate you. Another
And
one from Perfect
that's a good
Storm.
point. That's a good point.
I think
That's
so
a very
too.
good
I
point.
agree. He says Steve Harvey is a simp, so we should be like Steve. I don't think that that's what he was saying at all whatsoever. He brought up the point that Steve isn't questioned for being a relationship
Oh my.
guru, even though
What
he's been
happened?
divorced multiple
I was in
times.
the middle of
So I of high value or the term done as a result of is a person who do indeed enjoy attention. Um, Want it included in the divorce. We're married, but I know she had, and eventually he started like, well, feeling like you have no control because
just as entertaining as anybody else. So we really, really, really appreciate you guys coming. Shout out to Bat for the super chat. Have a great start to their week and
I have to ask based on what metric, how is
leaving high value men.
Let me see if I can
What
get through
do
the
you
end of
think the
this.
excuse is
or
to
do
that?
they? You have absolutely feeling like you have no control because you're
But all the links are in the description. Please follow us. We ain't been talking about shit yet, but we will get there.
All right. So that was a little bit more, but here's the other thing. High value does not denote worth. You can have all the self-worths in the world. You could be an accomplished man and not be high value. High value is not based on what you think of yourself. It's what the world thinks of you. You can be an accomplished man, but are you valuable outside of yourself? That's where network, visibility, utility come in. And see, the thing is, we used to understand these concepts, but a lot of us have been shied away from competition, and we don't like it. Because reality, it's easy for you to sit back and talk about, yeah, man, women need to get fit, but are you fit where a man needs to be? I mean, not where a man wants to be. Because this is only a problem for those who want high value status, but they don't want to do the high value work. You know, in the 70s and 80s, everybody didn't expect to have a beautiful wife and drive a Mercedes. Most people thought, I just have an average or cute wife and we'll drive a Honda Civic. And happiness is being able to go to Six Flags. You know, but now everybody expects to eat caviar, and you know, but you don't do the work to get the caviar outcomes. So, it's not my understand. I am attributed for making high value pop in this part of the YouTube, so I'll own that. So what I'm doing is I'm clearing up what I mean when I talk about high value. This week you will have the high value handbook, so the points will be there. So to everybody in the chat room, when you hear somebody say high value and they refer to what I mean, you can hear it from my mouth and see it in a bullet point format. High value starts with money. Without money, high value can't be there. $10,000 a month. It starts with the length of time you've had that money. 5 years. Visibility has everything to do with you as a man and your income. Your people have to know where your money comes from. Meaning, I'm a personal injury attorney in Miami. People can pretty much understand what that kind of potential is worth versus what do? Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. No one knows what that means. At a glance, LinkedIn level. Like it or not, that's where it comes in. Acceptance by the group. You how you men recognize you as a part of their group, or you should be in their group. It is an insiders club. It is a fraternity. It's by definition rare. If everybody could be high value, then the value would be too low. If everyone could be high value, the value is not high enough. It requires a network, and it also requires a utility. That's why I find it interesting. A lot of guys talk about making all this money and all this other kind of stuff. You can be really rich and successful, but if no one can benefit or access your network or access what you do, then how useful is it to anybody? All right, I will answer a few questions. I'm going to open up Zoom. The only way I'm going to talk to people, though, is if you're going to get on camera. You're only going to get on camera to talk to me because I don't have time to play with trolls. Go play with your mama. Go play with your cat, your dog. Don't play with me. If you decide you want to get on here acting crazy, you'll get booped on off. I find it interesting that so many. I would have expected I would have got much more pushback from women, but it's actually this high value thing has ticked off a lot of men. You know how many times high value men have been divorced, repossessed, bankrupt, evicted? I mean, these are the stories that you hear. You expect to be a high value man to be, that shows us how far we got to go. And I reject the notion that black men cannot be high value. Yep. It's not a white concept. Girl, here's a show. Again, to get on the show, you have to show your face, at least over here. But what I also do know about men is, even though it may piss some guys off, a lot of guys are like, all right, you know, I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily like it, but I can deal with it. Money, length of time, group acceptance, network, visibility, and utility. You know what? Let's do that. Let's put them all on the screen so people can come back and have a quick reference as to what I said until the book comes out, because it needs to be addressed. Boop, 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 boop. There are the principles. So now people can't act as though they don't know what I'm talking about. So, you know, folks can just make up whatever they want. See, what high value is to me, that don't matter what high value is to you. It matters what high value is to the world. Oh, man, I don't subscribe to that view of high value. Okay. Okay. Don't have to. But if you can't make, but if you got your own view and the world does not agree with it, you want to make up your own rules. I don't understand it, but okay. Boop, 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 boop. Y'all stop timing out people just because y'all don't like them on other channels. If nobody comes over here acting crazy, don't do that. And guys, you're also going to have to realize, on my channel, you're going to see women over here. I don't have a problem with a lot of women like some of you guys. I just don't. As long as they come over here and act respectful, everybody can come over here. As long as they conduct themselves in a respectful manner, cool. I don't deal with y'all's YouTube beefs. And don't bring that to my business. Don't bring that to my channel. Leave that where y'all are. This is we do fine dining over here. Let me see. All right. I think that's Ike. I think that's my boy right there. I think that's my boy right there. Ike, you need to connect your mic. So they're the principal tenants. So I hope that clears at least some of it up. You know, I will go into more in depth about these things in the book, the High Value Handbook. I see you, Ike. Your mic's not connected, Ike. The High Value Handbook. Your sound's not connected, bro. While Ike is getting ready, I will go ahead and Alicia Mayo. Alicia, how are you? All right, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please. Ike, you might want to come back out and come back in. I don't know. Your mic doesn't seem to connect. I might need to send you instructions because you have to click the. Go ahead, Alicia.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, thank you. Here in the Bay Area, California.
Okay, well, what do you have for me? What do you have for me?
Yeah, I think I need to turn off your live stream. Hold on a second, let me okay. Okay, so in terms of men being valued by the criteria and all of that, I mean, that's a traditional thing. My grandfather just passed away 2 years ago, at 93, and all of my 53 years living with that man, I saw nothing but him develop his value over time with the community, with his family, with his employment, with every area of his life was absolutely uh, full of value driven
Sis, do you
purpose.
have anything on the subject? Do you have a question?
No question.
Okay.
I didn't have a
All
question.
right. Okay. I'm trying to run the show. I appreciate your input, but if you had something you wanted to ask me or a question you need to be cleared up, but
I think it's a generational thing. Okay, so
okay. Nothing?
is that a generational thing? This value, this
No, I
value
think
thing.
everybody. No, it's not generational. We saw more of it when we were in our youth, but value is still the same everywhere else. We've gotten to the world where everybody got a trophy. We removed shame, insult, and competition. So now we get the remnants of nobody can judge me and everything is hands off, but it doesn't work that way. They're still ranked. But appreciate you calling in. I got to get to the folks that have something they want to add into the combo. Thank you. Estelle, go ahead.
Hi, I have two questions, really easy questions.
Okay.
Will your handbook include answers about, will your handbook, your high value maiden handbook, is it going to include answers about ranking like other classes in society? You mentioned classism in the
Is it
world
going to
today.
have? Is it going to have answers regarding what?
Ranking in society, because you mentioned about classism and
No,
people have
no, not
problems with
not the
that.
handbook.
Is it going to talk about that at all?
Doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to go over. It's going to go over. I got to get the basics out there. Here's what high value is.
Okay.
Why it's important. Here are the principles.
Got it.
Basically, basic information.
So
Because
my
I'm
second
hearing.
question,
Go ahead.
my second question would be: are there any books that you can recommend or would recommend to a regular lay working woman like myself who wants to find out more, like books or channels or platforms that I should look
I don't know. It's a pretty broad question.
to get a
But
better understanding?
it's a pretty
Okay.
broad. That's a pretty broad
Okay.
question. But I don't know if you can hear me. You sound behind. Let me go ahead and. Here's the thing. A lot of you ladies need to, because you were the lady who called the other night, and you were pretty free spirit. I would suggest women. You need to get your femininity in check. A lot of you ladies, you need to learn how to become ladies. Far too many women out there. I think O'Shea did a video today talking about Brittany Renner, how she's hit the wall. And she even talked about how she was very loose with the information. And this whole sexually liberated thing, I'm going to tell you right now, that sexually liberated thing has a cost. We have females, women, and then ladies. High value men want ladies. So if you can't walk well in heels, if you can't sway, if you don't look great in a little black dress, if you don't know how to comport yourself like a lady, that's where you need to start from. Outside the mental thing, the fitness thing, follow the femininity influencers who talk about sophistication and elegance. Femininity, sophistication, and elegance. Even at the middle class level. You don't have to be rich to be feminine, elegant, and sophisticated. All right, Kevin. Hello.
Word. Yeah, good night, Mr. Samuels. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what do you have for me?
Good night. So all right, so I'm kind of young for this conversation.
Okay.
So I'm 21 years old. I work like 85 hours a week. I just finished trade school last week. And I aspire to be high value.
Okay.
And I definitely want to be successful in my life. I live on my own. I just moved into my own apartment earlier this month. I just want to know, like, what advice would you have for a 21-year-old? As like the years go on, just throughout my 20s, like, what advice
Where's
would
your
you
dad?
give me? Honestly, my dad's there. My dad's here. I talk to my dad every now and then. But like my parents,
Stop. Were your mother
Yep.
and father married?
they are.
They are married.
Yes.
And what does your father
Well,
do for a living?
he is so he works for the government. Like he's
Okay. So why? So how is your father helping you mature into manhood?
honestly he's not. Um, I've been watching AMS and you for like a while. So
That's
honestly, I
fine, but
really
I'm
get
concerned that you're not
Yeah.
talking to your father.
right.
Why?
So here's the thing. So I talked to my dad, but the thing with my dad, he doesn't really like try to teach me like, I gotta work hard, I gotta grind, I gotta hustle, I have to go get it. You know what I mean? Every single time like I talk to him, I tell him about how I work X amount of hours a week. All he says is like you gotta burn out yourself, and stuff like that, and
Okay.
how I'm gonna get tired,
Is your father successful in your eyes?
Uh
No.
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 Yeah.
But how long have your mother
Even
and father been married?
For since how many years now? Since
I don't know.
So the
many
oldest
years?
is 20. Yep. The oldest is 28.
How many
So they've been
years?
married like since. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they've been married like my whole entire life since
Okay.
my bro.
Okay, so listen. Your mother and
Yes.
father been married for 20 plus years.
Yes,
Does your mother work?
she does.
All right. Where does the buck stop in your house? With your mother or your father?
Wait, what do you mean?
Who makes the final say in your
Oh
house?
well, my dad moved out.
Your dad did what?
He moved out. My mom
All
and
right,
my
young man. When I ask if your mother and father are married, what I'm trying to understand is about your home life. The way you're saying it is your mother and father are married for 20 plus years. Now I'm
Yep.
finding out your family's broken.
Right.
That's not
That's
what I
exactly
asked initially.
Okay.
Because if you have a father and you're calling a man on a YouTube show and Alpha Male Strategies, we're great guys, but where's your dad? It sounds like you have an issue with your dad.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't
Why?
really motivate. I mean, I can't even talk because honestly, to be honest, like he doesn't motivate me at all. We don't even talk like that. Like
Let me
I'll try to have conversations with him
Who did you?
about,
Let me ask. Let me stop. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Who did you? How long has your father been out of the house?
Honestly, he's been out since 21. He moved out when I was 14.
And so you live with your mother
No, I live by myself.
since you were 14.
My dad moved out when I was 14.
Young man,
Yes.
whose house did you live in at
Oh,
14?
my mom. Yep, my mom.
So I need you to listen closely.
Okay.
You got daddy issues.
Okay.
You're judging your father. I can hear it all through your voice. And boys who tend to grow up in a broken family or living with their mothers tend to look at their fathers through their mother's eyes. You're too young to know what happened between those two grown people.
Right.
But you are judging your father as a failure, and that is outside of your place. You're
Okay.
100% wrong for that.
Understood.
So, when I hear a man who has a father asking me and another man who have no vested interest in you, what's going on with your dad, and you telling me all the things that's wrong with your dad, you need to work on your relationship with your father.
I've tried.
Okay, you got to keep it. And the thing is, guess what?
Yes.
It doesn't stop.
Right.
Because what you need to do is divorce yourself from the marriage and become a son. Why your mother and father aren't together ain't your business. And if
Right.
you've been anywhere in these red pill spaces, you understand that things happen between men and women. But if you have
Yep.
you have a father, which is more than most of us have, and your father may not be a Supreme Court justice or the most motivating man in the world, he may not be a high value man, but that don't mean he's shit.
Right.
And so many of black men look at their father like they're not shit.
Right.
You've not said one thing positive about the man.
Well, Mr. Samuels, I was going to get to that.
No, we don't have to. But the thing is, young man, what I'm trying to get you
Yeah.
to understand
Okay.
is this is something that plagues our community.
Okay. Right.
Until black men, you've probably heard this, until you can hold your mother as accountable as you hold your father, and cut your father as much slack as you cut your mother, you won't put this issue to bed. You got to forgive your father, hold your mother accountable, wash your hands of both of them, and go lead your life.
Right.
That's the advice I'm going to give you in your 20s, because you are going to take your issues with your father into everything you do. Tainted manhood. This is where therapy comes in place.
Okay.
Yeah, working and all that stuff is great, but you need to resolve. This is one of the biggest problems in Black America. You can't fix this on your own. And if your dad's not big into therapy, that's fine, but you need to go talk to somebody about the issues you have, because you feel some kind of way about this. And I can't address it right. I can't address that right now because that's not even this broadcast.
Right. Understood.
But I'm gonna tell you,
Yep.
I got to get on to the next thing. It's not the broadcast.
Okay. No problem.
But you got, but the thing is, you still want to. I got to tell you, that's for your therapist.
Okay. Okay.
I hope that helps, man.
No, it does. It really does. And honestly, growing up, so you're right. Like I really, like when I was, I mean, not now, but like when I was younger, I used to like really blame my mom. So my mom painted a picture about my dad. So
Of course she
growing up,
did. It's called parental alienation. That's why so many. That's why these spaces exist, because they got so many angry young men who are rudderless and directionless. And for a man who actually has a father, you shouldn't be asking me or AMS without asking him first, because he didn't. Hold on. He didn't just get to be where he is on accident. And I got to move on to the next person. I really do. I really do.
Okay.
This is something.
Well,
I got to get on to the next person. Thank you for calling in.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Samuels.
Guys, the reason I got it, because that's too deep for this conversation. But this is what happens a lot of time when we have so many guys. When a relationship breaks, boys automatically step into the, that son husband role and really start screwing stuff up with the way they look at manhood and men. Ike, what's going on, man? Unmute yourself.
Hey, Mr. Samuels, can you hear me?
I can, man. We got Ike going on.
Hey, we got Ike going on. First of all, congratulations on your 100,000. I tried to call in that day, but I was not able to because apparently I can't figure out this audio thing. My apologies.
No problem.
Regarding today's topic, I just wanted to mention a couple of things, and they're reiterations of things that you've already mentioned before. But you mentioned, or it's vis-a-vis men who have the aversion towards your description of high value, right? So I need to put it this way, that they need to ask themselves where their zest for life is. Because if they have an aversion to growth, to appropriation, to competition, that means they really have an aversion to life. Because life is about accretion, appropriation, growth, and competition. Or to quote Nietzsche, life is the will to power. So whether you are a tree reaching down into the earth and getting the nutrients from there and reaching up to the sky and using the sun to get the energy, and then blocking out those other trees who are trying to compete with you for the sun, or whether it's a big fish eat small fish world, these systems are all about accretion, growth, appropriation, and competition. So then you also mentioned usefulness, right? Usefulness, and this is because, well, you say high value men are in demand, and this is because generally speaking, they are useful to the group. And I'm going to tie it back to the life thing. But basically, to paraphrase Matthew 25:29, basically says that, to those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance, right? And to those who do not have, the little that they do have will be taken away from them. Now, this is true of many natural systems. If you think of gravity, for example, the bigger you are, the bigger you get. The bigger you are, the more you attract. And if you are a little thing within the gravitational well of these big planets, the little things you got stuck to you will get sucked away. Okay, so if you take it back again to biological systems, this is also true, which we just talked about, growth and procreation and so on and so forth. Now, in the social sphere, this kind of reaching and growing and so on and so forth will get you skills, right? Will get you usefulness, if you will. And then with skills and usefulness come opportunity. And as you know, I'm sure you know, Mr. Samuels, that you're going to get to the point where you're going to start turning down opportunity.
Yeah.
Have so many things thrown your way, you're not even going to know what to do.
That's
with
right.
it, okay? And this just comes from your natural zest for life. So I don't understand at all. I get it conceptually that they need to check their zest for life, but I've never had that issue. And I don't think it's natural to have that issue when somebody starts talking about growth, appropriation, and competition for you to have some kind of
one of the big issues, because you mentioned a lot of things, some philosophical constructs. There were a lot of things you mentioned in there. I'm with you, but here's the biggest thing: drawing things to you with your work. And the problem is, in this country, we've removed competition. Competition is the one way you can actually have a need or will to get better. I say the first time I really understood who I was is when I got punched in the face real hard as a boy, and I cried like a bitch. I mean, I had that blubber sissy ass cry. And then I was embarrassed because I cried like a bitch. And then I got mad. Then I whooped the kid's ass. That taught me something about myself. But if I hadn't gotten hit that hard, I wouldn't have gone through that process. Competition does this for men. You get knocked down, you got to get up and get better. And we've made a lot of men grass eating or toothless lions, man. So there is no zest because, I mean, honestly, life is simple. Think about it. You know, most people got more food than they can eat in a lifetime. In the last 30 plus years, people don't even really miss meals. Poor people are larger than they've ever been. Poor people are supposed to be skinny. Rich people are supposed to be fat. But now we got skinny people that are rich and poor people that are fat because we have an abundance. And when things are in abundance, we don't really have a drive to do anything. So, hey man, I appreciate you finally get on. Did you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Because I'm not going to hold us long tonight, but I did want to finally get you on. I'm glad you were able to figure out the microphone thing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I just want one more point.
Go ahead.
But tangentially to what you just said about I did not think about that, because I'm from Nigeria, so there's that whole immigrant mentality thing, and I didn't grow up in a place where, I grew up in a place where, you did have to hustle, and you did have to deal with malaria, so on and so forth. But anyways, there's another thing, and this has to do with bringing in a woman into your life, whether she leaves you or not or whatever, right? But what's the appropriate way to do it? And I'm talking about in terms of long-term relationships and marriage and so on and so forth. Well, you have to treat your life the same way an employer treats his business, in the sense that an employer doesn't just go to LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm just going to look for Aaron because I need somebody to sit next to me or something. It's like, no, they have a plan. Aaron is going to fill the role, which is going to help them meet their goal. So you need to have a plan for your life, and you need to understand the mold that she's going to fit into. And usually that has to do with the social space. It has to do with the air of respectability that a woman bestows upon a man. You have to know that. And then you need to provide the means by which this employee will succeed. You're not just going to hire somebody and say, you know what, I'm not giving you a phone, I'm not giving you a laptop, I'm not giving you marketing, no branding, no nothing. But I have all these demands of you. You got all these targets to hit, but I'm not giving you anything.
Right, just go make it happen.
Exactly. So actually have a plan for your life. Look at your life as a plan and realize that there are things in that plan areas that you cannot fulfill, that you need a woman for, and then bring her into that and then provide the means for her to succeed. And that's all I wanted to just add to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ike. And here's one of the problems I'm going to go ahead and let you drop down. That's Ike, everybody. And one of the things he talked about, he was flowing on lots of different levels. Remember I talked about business? And there is a business component that is missing from a lot of men right now. We don't understand how to do business. We got jobs that don't really force us to become entrepreneurs, business owners. So the concept of hiring an employee of providing for an employee. It's like, well, dude, I'm a worker. And we've taken the entrepreneurial spirit from a lot of men. What we have done effectively in the black community is we've become lazy. They have made us lazy. We'll give you food, even though it's bad. We'll give you all these things if you just sit over here and don't wild out. And when you take desire, hunger from a group, people just get passive. Men don't assert. So, in my way of trying to actually teach and communicate, you hear me making references to business a lot because that's what informs a lot of this stuff. Business is how that's the sport of most men. Most men cannot play professional sports. We play professions and we compete that way. Guys, we're getting towards to the end. I'm going longer than I expected to go. Let me see how many more calls I can get through. I hit on a lot of shit that I want to touch on. Guys, understand something. I know in this space there are a lot of guys who don't understand the purpose of a woman. And especially us that were raised by single parents, single mothers, and didn't have a dad in the household. So at least in my generation, guys married for love and a lot of BP reasons. We didn't know when we should have been marrying for power and legacy and having somebody next to us that was going to help us go to the stratosphere, that was going to be a good running mate. And see, that's what a high value man understands, that look, miss, you will always come a distant second to my purpose, but my purpose is the thing from which everything flows. You will have this kind of life, this kind of access, but I have to be a man among men over here. And we used to be all right with that. We used to be all right with the men going over here and doing the man stuff, the women doing the women stuff, and then us coming together when we needed to. Now we have so many women that are like, well, I want to be over here with the men. And it's like, well, okay, but what are you going to pick up? You're going to pick up masculine energy and you're going to lose that feminine energy. And then we got men who don't want to do the work and they want to sit over here in the room with the women. And that's what happened in my generation, a generation of harder women and softer men. So for you millennials and zennials, you have the opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the boomers and Generation X. You cannot, I hear a lot of folks blaming these people. Look, man, you have to, I don't want to go down that path. Life is choice driven. What are the choices you're going to make? And again, high value does not imply you're low value, meaning you're meaningless. But there is a ranking system. And black folk, we better get real good with the fact that if we're ever going to grow past 13%, if we're ever going to grow past the feeder class that we're doing, we are going to have to get all right with structure, order, discipline, and marching. Lesser men are going to have to follow greater men. That really jacks with some dudes. But see, you can't be a great leader unless you're first a follower. There's a lot of stuff we have to learn. So guys, I'm glad we had the high value conversation. Today was an impromptu broadcast. Let me see if I can get through a few people here. Guys, I'm going to try to give each one of you guys a couple of minutes as we pop in here. Let me see. We're having problems with, okay. All right. I put that one there. Put that one there. Put this one. Oh my goodness. Put this one here. I don't see you. We're going to have another show tomorrow. I wasn't planning on being this long. All right. Let me also, guys, understand something. High value men here. Low value here. There's a group here called, I call them Aaron's and Greg's, right in here. That $60,000 to $85,000 range. That's the middle class, the bourgeoisie. That's where 30% of the men are. Bro, if you're in here, that does not mean you're trash. You are the blue collar and the white collar men that I have often talked about to make this economy go. So if the terms high value rub you some kind of way, ask yourself a question. There are people who play on the court, people who are up on the stage, but the people who make the stage or prepare the field, the people who do the things they do, have respect for the people who make it possible. And the net of it is we all get to pick. We all get to pick what it is we do and what we're about. Let me do this real quick. Let me see. Pop in real quick. I got a few minutes on here. You need to unmute yourself. Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, how are you? And your first name
I'm
is?
good.
Oh, how are you?
I'm great. I'm Janae Moore. I was told to call you.
Okay.
I do a lot of panels and I do a lot of panel discussions, and sometimes they go left depending on what guy is on.
Okay.
And I did a panel discussion a few days ago regarding high value men. Of course, things always seem to, they never get to the point. It always seems to kind of like go in circles with these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. I do have a question for you. I really love what you've been talking about, by the way, because they told me to call in saying that, maybe me and you would have issues, but I love what you're saying. I mean, you're so direct.
I generally don't have issues with people if we can talk about something. So I didn't see your show. But what was your question about?
I do want to know. Okay, so I know you mentioned that like looks don't matter, and it's about money and this and that. I want to know, are we leading men the wrong way by saying that their looks don't matter and that they can get, let's say, a 9 or a 10 even if they're a 4? Because
okay, are we talking about looks? I didn't mention anything about look tonight and high value.
I know that. Well, that's what I'm wondering is why aren't looks a factor in a high value male?
Because high value. Okay, are you familiar? Do you watch the show Game of Thrones?
Yes, I have.
Okay, Tyrion Lannister, the imp, the midget.
Oh, yes.
He was an extremely valuable man.
Right.
He came from money. He was learned. He was accomplished. He had a network. He was visible. He was useful. He was atrocious, ugly, and an imp. But men like that have always existed.
Do you feel like that's maybe just a show?
No, men like that have always existed. Men are at first.
So
hold on. Men universally have always been looked at first for our value and our usefulness. Then it becomes a individual choice as far as looks. That is much more. Okay. But it can, like, let's say it's really important to you. That could be great, but if he's a good-looking guy and he's homeless, that would change the equation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Correct. They can't just have one thing.
Right.
One thing. Yeah. You can't just have one thing. One thing isn't enough. I would say that I say I am a little bit worried for men because I do recognize that the really unattractive ones will get with these really beautiful women and they're obviously gold diggers. So I'm a little concerned because I would like for men to find somebody who really likes them for them and not just their money and just chasing after gold diggers. So I mean, like,
now we got to be clear now. Oh, we got background noise there. And this may be a good conversation for tomorrow's platform because I'm actually going to talk about I'm going to be discussing a young woman here in Atlanta who is really doing well, but she would fall into that high value category. Here's the thing: money is a component. But what I'm hearing you say is basically, if you're not a good looking guy, trying to get with a good looking woman is going to end in disaster.
Yes,
Well,
it can. I think it's more prone to.
okay,
You know, it
all
could.
right,
It
all right.
could.
So show me how that works in the white community. Show me how Tom Likas, Hugh Hefner, and I can give you a litany of unattractive white men who have been around beautiful model-like white women and led exceptional lives.
Did they? Did they have long-term relationships, or they just kind
Yes.
of, because like Hugh Hefner just seemed to kind of
Hugh Hefner,
separated,
but
and
Hugh Hefner had his pick. No one would ever say Hugh Hefner got.
he did.
So my point is, we're mixing things. There are high value men. High value men. Women get attracted to high value men for different reasons than they get attracted to just men with money. You can be high. You can make a lot of money and be beta as fuck.
I agree.
So I think, and that's why I'm putting this high value thing manual handbook out to kind of to codify what I mean by high value, because it goes cross cultural, cross racial. You can find, case in point, go into a different century and you will look and see that if you were a high value man, let's say in Asia or in Africa or in the Middle East, the men would often present their virginal daughters to you. Why? They didn't present them to you based upon your looks. They presented the best the village had to offer to the men of means, high value.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, are you going to be available tomorrow?
What time are you gonna come on?
I'll come on at 10 o'clock on 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'll probably open
Okay.
up the calls about 10:30, 10:45.
Okay. Make sure I call in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys. Let me go ahead and shut that down. See, what makes high value men attractive to women? Women in mass, not individual women. Women in mass is what you've seen on this show. Women are attracted to a high value lifestyle. And I made a joke about it the other day. I was like, a woman may look at a guy who's 5'6" and, maybe not the best look. I mean, Napoleon, for goodness sake. But when you're when you're driving a Maserati and have access to this or that, you have access to more than the average person, it's much more attractive. Now, high value is not the final determination point. See, I believe personally, my high value ethos, after those basic principles, I look at how a man moves. I look at how guys treat people who can't do anything for them. But that is by no means universal. There are high value men who are agnostic, atheist, who are nihilistic. Well, not nihilistic, probably not so much, but everybody's going to have different modifiers. And that's the beautiful thing. It leaves a lot of room for interpretation after the basic things are there. So what are y'all saying in the chat room? Yeah, y'all be cool, man. I understand something. Let me say this again on my channel, guys. I expect you guys to be competitive men. If every woman that calls into this platform agrees with everything that I say, then what's the point? You're going to have a bunch of sycophants. There's going to be people who call into this platform who disagree vehemently. And that's cool. But what are the few things you can agree with? See, until we start understanding how to deal with conflict resolution and good faith and respect, we will never be able to build up. We will never be able to build vertically successfully. Mankind itself has been able to succeed because men have learned to stop warring and start working together. How you deal with people you have conflict with says a lot about you, in my personal opinion. Again, Abraham Lincoln, Cabinet of Rivals, Sun Tzu, even the Art of War talks about if you are an opposing general fighting an army and you conquer that territory, the generals on that side automatically would expect to be put to death. But a smart general would see the ones that would turn the generals to their side. And often the generals who thought they were going to die but were spared became some of the most loyal generals and loyal servants of the new emperor. But some of the people who would try to kill the emperor would be some of the people who came up with him, and he bestowed things upon them without them earning it. That's where the poisonings, the backstabbings came from. Go read your 48 Laws of Power, guys. Again, I see people out there. There are people, feminists and this and that. So, you're supposed to be, we're men. We're men. And like I said the other day, it's not all our fault. Remember I said, well, women will say, well, guess what? We didn't make the world, and men were in charge and gave us these laws. Guys, I don't fear headship. And that's why high value men tend to be successful. I don't know, high value men are useful because they understand smoke is going to come their way. Problems going to come their way. But more often than not, you're going to have enough things on your side working for you to even the most difficult personality types, the most problematic stances, people will be like, it's more to my benefit than not to see how I can work with that guy, with that mindset. And that's how I think you win overall. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. This was an impromptu, but I just had to get this out there because I'm seeing so much of this stuff, high value this, high value that, out there over and over. Now at least you can say you've seen it, even in a audio form, but it's still going to be my commitment to get it to you in a written form so you can have it in your hand, so you can say, this is what he means. There's going to be a short handbook version, and then there's going to actually be the portion of this that's going to be in a book. Will be codified because I didn't look for this, but I injected it into the ethos. I injected it into the conversation in a certain kind of way, and it's my responsibility to make sure that what I'm saying is communicated correctly from my standpoint. That's on me. And that's what I think a man should do. Hey, man, you put it out there, now it's on you. You didn't want it, you should have kept your mouth closed. That's what you do, bro. All right, folks, until next time, we are out of here. Peace. We are gone. Impromptu. Boop, 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 boop.
In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes, yeah. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say.
Join me on Patreon. Thank you for the folks on Patreon to make this show possible. If without for the patrons, this stuff would not work. Support the platform on Patreon at Kevin R. Samuels. Join me on IG in the frat room. Things you will only see there. Live stream videos, impromptu IG stories, things throughout the day. When they're up, they're up. When they're gone, they're gone. It's also a great place where you meet other people to collaborate with. You know, YouTube is pretty much a male-dominated platform. Facebook and IG interact a lot more with women, which honestly gets the conversation kind of going. Email your show ideas to info@bykevinsamuels.com. Monday through Friday are business hours, folks. Even though you may see me around on the weekends, I have business hours. As a YouTuber, oftentimes people think, I'm going to email them, I respond to business hours. Book your one-on-one career advice, personal advice, interpersonal communication, or your virtual consultation. Your style, personality, understand the basics of a classic masculine wardrobe, understand where you kind of rank out here, the sexual marketplace value. Yes, I do these for men and for women. If you don't know what, just go ahead and book your one-on-one customized hour and we'll figure it out. Respect my inbox. Shout out to the people of The Mix. My Mix, the Facebook group, The Mix is going well. Going forward, Sundays and Wednesdays are days I accept new members. There's a backlog of people waiting to get in the group. Everybody has gone through individually to make sure we don't have any trolls or silliness in there. I want the right kind of people over there to get the right mixture. Good stuff. If you're interested, hit me up down in the description. Until tomorrow, peace.